I never thought life could betray me so suddenly. One moment I was laughing with my friends at the rooftop cafe, the city lights sparkling below us. The next, I was staring at a message on my phone that made my chest tighten and my stomach drop. "Jake, you won't believe what I just found out," Sarah said, her voice shaking. "What is it?" I asked, thinking it was some minor gossip. I smiled, trying to hide the unease creeping in. It's about Emma." Her eyes wouldn't meet mine. "Emma? What about her?" My heart beat faster, but I tried to keep calm. She's been seeing someone else. Not just anyone, Mark." I laughed nervously. "You're joking." "Emma wouldn't, Mark. That's impossible." Sarah shook her head. "I wouldn't lie, Jake. I saw the messages myself. Pictures. Everything." I dropped my phone. "No. This isn't real. She wouldn't do this to me. Not Emma." My voice cracked, though I tried to steady it. "Jake, I'm so sorry. I didn't want you to find out like this." I ran my hands through my hair, pacing. I trusted her. I trusted everyone. How could she betray me like this? How could I have been so blind? Sarah reached out. "You didn't see the signs. Nobody could have. You're not at fault." I looked at her, tears threatening to fall. "It doesn't feel like that. It feels like my whole world just collapsed." A knock on the door startled me. It was Emma. Her face was pale, her eyes wide. "Jake, I can explain," she said, stepping inside. I turned sharply. "Explain? Explain what, Emma? Explain how you could do this to me." She swallowed hard. "It wasn't what it looks like. Please just listen." "Listen? How can I listen after everything I see here? Messages, pictures, the betrayal." My voice rose, shaking with anger. Emma's hands trembled. I made a mistake. I never meant to hurt you." "Mistake? Do you know what it feels like to be blindsided by someone you love? Do you?" I took a deep breath, trying to calm the whirlwind inside me. I can't even trust myself anymore. I don't know what to think. Sarah stepped closer. "Jake, maybe we should take a moment. Just breathe." I shook my head. "No. I need to know why. I need to understand why Emma would do this, why Mark, why everything." Emma's voice broke. I was lonely. I felt ignored. I didn't know how to tell you." You didn't know how to tell me?" I laughed bitterly. "You didn't know how to tell me that you were lying to my face? That you were betraying me?" Her shoulders slumped, tears falling freely. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." I stepped back, heart pounding. "Sorry isn't enough, Emma. Nothing is enough. I thought we were perfect. I thought I could trust you completely. And now?" I trailed off, staring at the floor. Sarah touched my arm gently. "It's going to hurt now, Jake, but you'll survive. You'll get through this." I nodded, though my chest ached. My perfect life, my carefully built world, had crumbled in an instant. And I had no idea how to pick up the pieces. I haven't slept properly since that night. Every time I close my eyes, I see Emma's face, hear her laughter, and then the betrayal hits me like a punch to the gut. I pace my apartment, my hands shaking. "Jake, you need to eat something." Sarah's voice comes through the phone, soft but firm. "I can't." I snap, running my fingers through my hair. "I can't even look at food. I can't look at anything right now." "Listen to me," she insists. "I know it hurts. I know it feels like the world's ending, but you can't shut yourself in forever." I trusted her, Sarah. I trusted her with everything, and she threw it all away. I whisper, my voice breaking. "You can't change what happened," she says gently, "but you can control how you respond." I laugh bitterly. "Respond? How? Do you have any idea how much it hurts to find out the person you love is lying to your face? To be replaced?" "Jake, you're not powerless," she says. "You have friends. You have your mind. You can rebuild." I sink into the couch, burying my face in my hands. Rebuild? My life feels like it's crumbling. Every memory, every plan we made, it's all gone. "Focus on yourself first," Sarah advises. "Take small steps. Don't let her control your thoughts, your emotions. That's where she has power over you." I stare at the wall, replaying everything over and over. It's not just Emma. It's me. How did I not see this coming? How did I let myself be so naive? "You loved her," Sarah says gently. "That's not a weakness. But you can learn. You can grow stronger from this. I bite my lip thinking. Stronger maybe. I can't just sit here feeling sorry for myself. But part of me wants revenge, just to make her understand the damage she caused. Revenge is tempting, she admits. But focus first on reclaiming your life. The rest will follow naturally. I nod slowly, though my chest feels heavy. I don't know if I can forgive her. I don't know if I want to. But I can't stay like this either. I need control back. Even if it's just a little at a time. You will, Jake, Sarah says, her voice steady and warm. One step at a time. You'll get through this, I promise. I end the call and stare at the empty room. Silence presses against me, suffocating, yet strangely comforting. No distractions, no lies, just me and my thoughts. I pace again, feeling the first flickers of determination. I won't let this break me completely, I whisper. She can't have that much power over me. Not anymore. I'll find a way to rise, even if I have to claw my way back. For the first time since the betrayal, a small spark ignites inside me. Anger, yes, but also clarity. Pain has a shape now, and it's pointing me toward action, toward control, toward me. I take a deep breath, straighten my shoulders, and step toward the window, watching the city lights below. Somewhere out there life moves on. And so will I. I used to think my life was perfect. I had everything I wanted, or so I believed. My name is Mia, and at 24 I had a loving boyfriend, Liam, a promising career, and friends I trusted completely. Good morning, Mia, Liam said, leaning against the kitchen counter with that crooked smile I couldn't resist. Morning, I replied, brushing my hair back. Coffee? You know me too well, he grinned, grabbing his mug. I laughed softly. I've had practice. Sophia called me just as I was about to sip my coffee. Hey girl, are we still on for lunch today? Absolutely. I can't wait, I said, smiling at the phone. Sophia had been my rock through everything. Even Liam joked that she was like a second me. Liam frowned slightly. You spend more time with Sophia than with me sometimes. I rolled my eyes. She's my best friend. You know that. I know, he said, rubbing the back of his neck. Just saying. I didn't notice the small tension in his voice at first. I was too wrapped up in my happiness, in the feeling that everything was just right. Later that day, Sophia and I sat in our favorite cafe, sharing stories and laughing until our cheeks hurt. Mia, you look so happy, she said. I am. Life's good, I replied, twirling my spoon. I think Liam really gets me. Sophia's smile faltered ever so slightly, but she nodded. Yeah, he seems great. I didn't notice the slight unease in her tone. I was blinded by my joy, by my certainty that Liam loved me, and that my life was exactly how it should be. That night, Liam and I walked along the quiet streets, hand in hand. I love this, he whispered. Just us. Me too, I said, squeezing his hand. Everything feels perfect. And in that moment I believed it. I believed nothing could touch us, that my world was secure. But beneath the smiles, beneath the laughter, there were tiny cracks I chose to ignore. I laughed with Liam when he joked about our future trips, and I teased Sophia about her obsession with coffee. I felt loved, supported, invincible even. Yet somewhere deep inside a faint worry lingered, a whisper I pushed aside. I didn't realize that the life I cherished, the life I believed was perfect, was about to shatter. Liam's charm, Sophia's caution, my own trust, all would collide in ways I couldn't imagine. And I had no idea that the cracks were already widening, slowly, quietly, until nothing would ever feel the same again. I couldn't shake the unease that had settled over me like a heavy blanket. Something felt off, though I couldn't pinpoint exactly what. Liam's phone buzzed constantly, and he would quickly swipe it away when I glanced over. Who's texting you so much? I asked casually, trying to sound normal. Just work stuff, he replied, smiling, but the tension in his eyes betrayed him. I nodded, pretending to believe him, but the pit in my stomach refused to go away. Later that day, I noticed him whispering on a call, glancing nervously at me. Everything okay? I asked, leaning against the doorway. Yeah, just a client issue, he said quickly, ending the call. I forced a smile, but my mind raced. Was I imagining things? Or was something really wrong? When I met Sophia for lunch, I couldn't keep it in any longer. Sophia. I don't know. I think Liam's hiding something. She raised an eyebrow. Hiding something? What makes you say that? I don't know. Texts on his phone, whispered calls, mood swings. I feel like I'm losing him or maybe losing trust. Sophia reached across the table, taking my hand. Mia, you've got a gut feeling. Don't ignore it. Sometimes we sense things before we even see them clearly. I keep thinking I'm being paranoid, I admitted, stirring my coffee nervously. I don't want to accuse him of anything without proof. I'm not saying accuse him, she said gently. Just pay attention. Notice patterns. Protect yourself emotionally. Her words hit me harder than I expected. I nodded slowly, trying to swallow the growing knot of fear in my chest. The next morning at work, I ran into Alex from my office. He leaned against the cubicle wall, smirking. Rough morning. You could say that, I muttered, distracted. You seem distracted, he said, eyes scanning mine. Something bothering you? I hesitated. Could I confide in him? It's personal, I said finally, shaking my head. He shrugged, leaning closer. Well, if you ever want to talk, I'm here. Sometimes a fresh perspective helps. I smiled faintly. Thanks. I appreciate it. As I walked back to my desk, Liam called. Hey, I'll be late tonight. Work ran over. Again. I asked, trying to keep my voice neutral. You're working a lot lately. Yeah, it's just the project, he said quickly. Don't worry about me. I wanted to trust him, I really did. But the whispered calls, the secrecy, the sudden changes in mood, they gnawed at me relentlessly. Something was wrong and I couldn't ignore it. Sophia's words echoed in my mind. Notice patterns. Protect yourself. I caught myself checking his phone when he left the room. Nothing yet. But the unease didn't leave. I knew deep down that small cracks were forming in the perfect life I thought I had. I sighed, gripping the edge of my desk. I had to stay vigilant, even if it meant doubting the person I loved most. Something was coming. I could feel it in every tight knot of my chest, in every quick glance I caught him making. And I wasn't sure I'd be ready when the betrayal finally arrived. I didn't expect it to be easy. Every morning, I woke up feeling the absence of Liam like a weight pressing on my chest. But I told myself, this is my life now. I have to rebuild no matter how broken I feel. Mia, you okay today? Maya asked, noticing the dark circles under my eyes as I walked into the office. I'm managing, I said, forcing a small smile. You look like you've been running on coffee and willpower alone, she joked softly. I guess I have, I admitted, heading to my desk. But I'm trying. Slowly. Jordan leaned over, nudging my chair. That's all anyone can ask. One step at a time, right? Exactly, I said, glancing at the stack of files in front of me. Work had become my anchor. The tasks, the deadlines, they distracted me, made me feel useful, capable, and less hollow. During lunch, Ethan called. How's the rebuilding going? I laughed faintly. Slowly, but I'm seeing progress. Even small victories feel big these days. Good. Remember, it's not about how fast you move, it's about not stopping, he said calmly. I know. Sometimes it's hard not to think about him. About what I lost, I admitted. That's normal, he said. Loss teaches you about your strength. Pain shows you what you can endure. I nodded silently, realizing that for the first time, I was seeing the cracks in myself as something that could grow stronger, not just break. Back at the office, Maya handed me a cup of coffee. You've got that spark back today, she said. I feel it, I admitted. It's faint, but it's there. I'm realizing that I'm worth more than what I let someone else define me as. Jordan smirked. Finally catching on, huh? I laughed, the sound lighter than it had been in months. Yeah, slowly. That evening I walked home, thinking about the projects I'd started, painting again, reorganizing my apartment, writing in my journal. Each act was small, but each act reminded me that I could create joy on my own. I stopped at a cafe and saw Ethan sitting there reading. Hey, I said cautiously. Hey, Mia. You look different. Stronger, he said, a quiet smile on his face. I am a little, I admitted. It's still painful, but I'm learning that life isn't just about what's taken from you. It's about what you reclaim for yourself. He nodded. Exactly. And you're doing it well. Just remember, the journey isn't a straight line. Some days will feel heavier and some days lighter. Both matter. I thought about the months of heartbreak, isolation, and despair. I'm starting to understand that now. That I can survive this and grow from it. And you will, Ethan said confidently. You just have to keep moving. I smiled, feeling a sense of calm settle over me. Liam's absence still stung, but it no longer defined me. I was reclaiming my life piece by piece. The work, the projects, the friends, Maya, Jordan, Sophia. Each part was a reminder that I had value, that I was capable, and that I didn't need anyone to validate my worth. For the first time in months, I felt a quiet confidence bloom within me. Not loud or boastful but steady. Resilient. Mine. I saw him again yesterday, laughing in that smug, overconfident way that made my blood boil. Liam, surrounded by coworkers, acting like nothing ever happened, as if he hadn't shattered my world. Can you believe he actually pulled that off? Chris whispered, leaning toward me with a sly grin. I don't know if I can stomach watching him, I muttered, keeping my voice low. You've got to admit he's confident, Chris said. Maybe too confident. I clenched my fists under the table, the rage simmering inside me. Too confident, I repeated. And that's exactly why he won't see what's coming. Natalie, his ever-smiling accomplice, floated by. Mia, hi. Haven't seen you here in ages, she said, her voice syrupy. I forced a smile, but it didn't reach my eyes. Hi, Natalie, I said carefully. Every word measured. Every glance calculated. She tilted her head, still smiling. You've been quiet lately. Everything okay? Fine, I said, my tone flat. Just busy. As she walked away, I felt a spark ignite inside me. She was part of this, enabling him, turning blind eyes while I suffered. I could use this. I would use this. Later, I found myself staring at the presentation Liam was giving, noticing how easily people nodded along, blinded by his charm. My stomach twisted with both envy and determination. I realized just how vulnerable he was, to pride, to arrogance. I can't just watch him get away with this, I muttered under my breath. You mean revenge? Chris asked, raising an eyebrow. Maybe, I admitted, the word tasting bitter. Not recklessly, not yet. But subtle, strategic. Make him feel the consequences without him ever seeing it coming. Chris grinned. Now you're talking. You've got a mind for this, Mia. I forced a small smile. It's not about hatred. It's about balance. He needs to understand what it's like to lose what he thought was guaranteed. You're already halfway there, he said. Observation, patience, planning. Just remember, don't let this consume you. I won't, I said firmly, though a thrill ran through me. The first taste of control felt intoxicating. Later that evening, I sat in my apartment, plotting quietly. Every interaction, every slip of arrogance I noticed in Liam became a potential lever. He didn't realize how predictable he was, how his ego made him careless. I started to craft a strategy. Subtle, undermining, small moves that wouldn't be traced back to me but would slowly shift the power. I can do this, I whispered to myself. I'll take back what's mine. Not with rage but with precision. With intelligence. Ethan's words from before echoed in my mind. Pain shows you what you can endure. I realize now that it wasn't just survival anymore. It was about reclaiming my life and dignity, proving that I wasn't powerless. And as I thought of Liam laughing, Natalie hovering nearby, and Chris smirking, I felt a strange sense of satisfaction. The first spark of revenge was no longer a fantasy. It was a plan taking shape in my mind, quiet but deadly. I leaned back, a small smile forming on my lips. I wasn't just healing anymore. I was preparing. And the day they would realize I was no longer the naive girl they underestimated was coming. I barely recognized myself in the mirror this morning. My hair was shorter, my wardrobe sharper, my posture stronger. The reflection staring back wasn't the girl who had crumbled under Liam's betrayal. It was someone new, someone I had fought to become. You look amazing, Sophia said when I met her for brunch. I can't believe how confident you are now. I feel amazing, I admitted, smiling. It's not just the look. It's everything. I finally feel like I'm in control. You've earned it, she said, sipping her coffee. All that strength you've built, it shows. I laughed softly. I've learned a lot. Pain teaches you lessons you don't want but need. That's true, she said. And you've taken every single one and turned it into power. Later at work, Maya and Jordan greeted me like I had grown into someone entirely different. Look at you, Mia, Maya said, grinning. You're glowing. What's your secret? Hard work, patience, and a little revenge motivation, I teased, catching their laughter. Jordan shook his head. You're unstoppable. I don't even want to see Liam try to come back into this equation. I smiled faintly, thinking of him, arrogant, careless, and utterly unaware of the woman I had become. I don't think he'll even recognize me, I said. And that's fine. Even in casual social settings, I felt a new energy around me. New friends, coworkers I hadn't paid attention to before, started noticing my confidence, my humor, my presence. Small conversations, subtle acknowledgments. It all built a sense of belonging I hadn't felt in months. Ethan called me later that evening. You've changed, he said quietly. I know, I said, leaning back in my chair. It's not just about surviving anymore. I've grown stronger, smarter. I've learned what I deserve. And I'm not letting anyone disrespect that again. That's the Mia I always knew was there, he said, warmth in his voice. The one who could rise from any fall. I needed to hit rock bottom to understand my own worth, I admitted. Pain has a strange way of showing you the life you're capable of. You're not just rising, he said. You're soaring. That night, I met Sophia for a walk through the city lights. It's funny, I said, how isolated I felt after everything happened, but now, I feel like I have more people around me than ever. Genuine people who care. That's because you've grown, Sophia said, smiling. People are drawn to your energy now. And the negative ones? They've faded. I nodded, remembering Natalie, Liam, and others who had once seemed so important. Their absence no longer hurt. It was freeing. They don't matter anymore, I said firmly. I don't need them to define me. You define yourself, Sophia said simply. I felt it fully deep in my chest. Every small victory at work, every confident smile, every new connection reinforced the woman I had become. Resilient, self-assured, empowered. As I walked home under the city lights, I realized how far I had come. My past no longer chained me. I had reclaimed my life, my worth, and my voice. The ashes of heartbreak had become the foundation of something stronger, unbreakable. I smiled to myself, thinking of tomorrow. This is only the beginning, I whispered. I'm unstoppable now. And I know exactly who I am. I saw him again yesterday, striding into the office like he owned the place, full of confidence and charm. Liam always thought he could glide through life without consequences. I had been waiting quietly for the cracks to show. Looks like someone's late again, Victor said loudly across the floor, his tone sharp. Liam froze mid-step, glancing at him. Traffic, Liam stammered, his usual ease gone. I watched with a faint smile as murmur spread among the colleagues. Whispers, small smirks, subtle exchanges, they all noticed. For once, Liam wasn't untouchable. Mia, Maya whispered, leaning close to me. You're glowing today. He's not looking too good, huh? I nodded slightly. No, he isn't. And I feel, satisfied. Quietly. Jordan, sitting across the table, chuckled. Karma has a funny way of catching up. You've got the perfect view of it, Mia. I smiled faintly, trying to mask the rush of triumph. I'm trying not to enjoy it too much, but it's hard. Across the room, Liam's phone buzzed. He checked it nervously, clearly expecting something favorable. Instead, his assistant's expression was serious. Sir, the client wants to reschedule, and they're reconsidering the contract. What? Liam muttered under his breath. His voice low, but I caught the panic. Change happens, Victor said casually, watching him with a faint smirk. Guess even the best laid plans stumble. I leaned back in my chair, letting my eyes follow Liam as he navigated the room, struggling to maintain his composure. It was subtle, yet undeniable. For the first time in months he seemed vulnerable. A colleague whispered to me, he's acting different off. Did something happen? I smiled gently. Life has a way of teaching lessons. Sometimes people don't see it coming until it's right in front of them. That's satisfying, the colleague said quietly, glancing at Liam. I nodded, but my attention shifted as I thought about my own journey. I didn't need to rub it in. Karma had its timing, and I was content to watch it unfold naturally, knowing I had grown stronger, more confident, and more resilient. Later, during a meeting, Liam stumbled over his words while presenting a proposal. Victor questioned him firmly, exposing flaws Liam hadn't anticipated. The tension in the room was palpable. "You all right, Liam?" I asked lightly, my voice calm but carrying subtle authority. "I'm fine," he said, but the usual charm didn't mask the nervous flicker in his eyes. "Good," I said softly, "because people are watching. And sometimes the truth has a way of revealing itself, whether you like it or not." Victor smirked, leaning back. "Exactly. Consequences aren't always loud, Liam. Sometimes they whisper. And eventually everyone hears." I caught Maya's eye across the table. She raised her eyebrows and I nodded slightly. We both knew the subtle satisfaction of watching someone finally face the results of their own arrogance. As the meeting ended, whispers followed Liam out of the room. He was no longer untouchable, no longer the charming figure everyone admired blindly. Karma had begun its work, and I felt a quiet calm settle inside me, a mixture of restraint and satisfaction. I hadn't interfered directly. I didn't need to. Life was balancing itself, and I was standing tall, confident, and untethered from the past. For the first time, I realized that watching karma unfold was far more powerful than any action I could take myself. I saw him in the lobby, leaning casually against the marble wall, his usual confident smirk plastered across his face. My chest tightened, but I squared my shoulders. No more hiding. No more trembling. "Liam," I said, my voice calm but firm. He looked up, startled, then smirked. "Mia, didn't expect to see you here." "Clearly," I said, stepping closer. "I suppose you think you can just waltz around as if nothing happened." He laughed lightly. "You're overreacting. It's been months. Don't tell me you're still overreacting." I interrupted, my voice rising. "Do you even hear yourself? Do you know what you did? Betrayed everything I trusted. Humiliated me. And yet here you are thinking charm erases the past." A few colleagues paused nearby, glancing at us. I didn't care. This confrontation wasn't for them, it was for me. I made mistakes," he said quietly, the smirk faltering. "I never meant to." "You never meant to?" I repeated, incredulous. "That's not enough. It never is." I know, he said, running a hand through his hair. "I regret it, Mia. I wish you hadn't been exposed." I snapped. "Wish you could undo the pain you caused? Regret doesn't fix anything, Liam. You should have thought of that before you betrayed me." He flinched, and I saw the first flicker of real remorse. I'm sorry," he whispered. "I don't need your apologies," I said firmly, my eyes steady. I needed action. I needed honesty. And most of all, I needed someone who valued me. "You failed at all of that." Liam looked down, his voice quieter. "You've changed," he admitted. "Yes," I said, taking a deep breath. "I've learned that my life doesn't depend on anyone else's morality. I survived. I grew. And I refuse to let your mistakes define me." A colleague whispered to another, and I caught their eyes. I didn't care. They were witnesses but not participants. This was my moral victory, my closure. "I've realized something important," I continued. "Strength doesn't come from hiding, from waiting for someone to recognize your worth. It comes from reclaiming your life, even when it's broken." And that's exactly what I did. Liam swallowed hard, finally meeting my gaze. I didn't think you'd be like this. Stronger. You don't get to decide what I am," I said firmly. "That's my choice. And my choice is to move forward, not backward." He nodded silently, shame and disbelief mingling in his expression. There was nothing left to argue, nothing left to manipulate. "I hope you learn," I said quietly, "that life has consequences, that betrayal, arrogance, and disregard for others never go unnoticed. And I hope you find someone who forgives you," I added softly, "because I won't. Not anymore. My forgiveness is mine to give, and I've chosen to give it to myself first." I turned, walking past him with steady steps. I felt the weight lift from my shoulders. Liam's presence no longer had power over me. I had confronted him, asserted my strength, and reclaimed my dignity. As I exited the building, sunlight hit my face, warm and bright. For the first time in months, I felt free, not because he was punished, not because karma was in motion, but because I had chosen myself. I had won. No witnesses, no applause, just the quiet triumph of my own empowerment. And that was enough. I walked into the office today with a sense of ease I hadn't felt in years. The energy around me was different. Warm, respectful, appreciative. People greeted me with genuine smiles, not just polite nods. "Mia, congratulations on the project presentation," Maya called out as I entered. "Thanks, Maya," I said, smiling. "It feels good to see it all come together." Jordan leaned over, grinning. "You've really stepped up. Everyone notices, not just me." I nodded, letting the pride settle without arrogance. "I've worked hard, and I'm proud of what I've accomplished." Later, Ethan stopped by my desk with a soft smile. "You're glowing," he said quietly, as if our conversation was just between us. "I've grown," I admitted. "It's been a journey, but I feel whole again. Stronger, capable, and honestly happy." "You deserve that," he said simply. "You've rebuilt yourself with patience and courage. Not everyone could do that." "I had good guidance," I replied, glancing at Sophia, who waved from across the room. "And friends who stayed loyal. It makes a difference." Sophia walked over, handing me a coffee. "Look at you, Mia. You've turned the pain into power. You're inspiring." I laughed lightly. "I don't know about inspiring, but I feel unstoppable. And at peace finally." As the day went on, small victories kept appearing. Emails praising my work, colleagues consulting me for advice, even new opportunities emerging that I hadn't dared to imagine before. I realized that recognition and respect weren't just external. They reflected the confidence I had rebuilt inside myself. During lunch, Ethan joined me at the cafe nearby. "You've changed," he said softly, "but in the best way. There's strength in your calm, warmth in your presence. People naturally gravitate toward you." "I guess I've learned what matters," I said, stirring my coffee. "Integrity, trust, and surrounding yourself with people who see your worth. And who see you for you," he added. There was a gentle pause, the kind that felt significant without words. I smiled faintly, sensing that connection. Not rushed, not forced, but steady, healthy, and mutual. Something I hadn't allowed myself to experience before. Back at the office, a new project team gathered around me, colleagues excited to work together. "Mia, we'd love your input," one said. "Of course," I replied warmly. "Let's make this a success together." I realized then that my growth wasn't just personal, it was visible. I was admired, respected, and trusted. Not because of anyone else's judgment, but because I had proven to myself that I could rise, transform, and thrive. Ethan gave me a small nod as he left my desk. I returned the gesture, feeling a quiet happiness I hadn't thought possible months ago. Loyal friends, meaningful connections, recognition for my work. It all reflected the person I had become. As I packed up to leave, Sophia caught up with me. "So, what's next for the unstoppable Mia?" she teased. I laughed, feeling the weight of the past finally lift. "Whatever I choose. Finally, I get to decide my path." The city lights outside glimmered as I stepped into the evening. For the first time, I didn't feel the shadows of betrayal, heartbreak, or doubt. I was ready for this new chapter, my chapter. Strong, empowered, and surrounded by people who mattered, I walked forward with a steady heart. And it felt perfect. I sat by the window, watching the city lights flicker as the evening settled in. It felt peaceful, almost surreal, thinking about how far I'd come. The girl who once trembled at the thought of betrayal was gone. I had survived, rebuilt, and grown stronger than I ever imagined. "Sophia." I whispered into my phone, dialing her number. "Hey, Mia. How's my unstoppable friend?" She answered, her voice full of warmth. "I'm content," I said, smiling softly. "I was just thinking about everything, the past, the heartbreak, all of it." "And?" she asked gently. "And I'm grateful," I admitted. Grateful for the pain that taught me resilience, for the friends who stayed, for the people who showed me loyalty. Even Liam, in his own way, showed me the strength I had inside. I just had to find it. Sophia laughed lightly. "That's a beautiful way to put it. I always knew you'd find your way back, stronger than before." I learned that life isn't about waiting for someone to value you, I said quietly. It's about valuing yourself, even when the world seems against you. And I have. Finally. You've earned it, she said. You've worked hard for this peace. And you deserve every bit of it. I nodded, letting the words sink in. My reflection in the window looked different now, not just physically but in spirit. My eyes held clarity, confidence, and a quiet determination. I had found my voice, my power, and my worth. It's strange, I said softly. I still feel a twinge of sadness sometimes, remembering the betrayal, the heartbreak. But it's no longer crippling. It's just part of my story. Part of what made me who I am today. And who you are today is amazing, Sophia said warmly. Don't forget that. I won't, I promised. I've learned patience, forgiveness, and the importance of surrounding myself with people who genuinely care. I've learned that control isn't about power over others. It's about strength within myself. There was a comfortable silence on the line, and I felt a wave of gratitude wash over me. For the first time in months, I could breathe without tension, without fear, without the weight of betrayal pressing down. I was free. I'm proud of us, I said finally. For enduring, for surviving, and for growing. Life isn't perfect, but I feel ready to embrace whatever comes next, with clarity, courage, and self-respect. You always were, Sophia said gently. You just had to see it for yourself. I smiled, feeling a bittersweet warmth. The past would always be a part of me, but it no longer defined me. I had transformed pain into strength, heartbreak into wisdom, and betrayal into growth. As I hung up and looked out over the city again, I whispered to myself, I am whole. I am strong. I am enough. And for the first time in a long time, I truly believed it. The auditorium was buzzing with applause as I stepped onto the stage, my heels clicking confidently against the polished floor. Faces turned toward me, colleagues, friends, even industry leaders, everyone watching. I felt a rush of pride that had nothing to do with revenge and everything to do with triumph over my own struggles. Mia, congratulations on this recognition, Maya whispered as I passed her backstage. Thanks, Maya, I said, smiling warmly. It feels surreal. Jordan leaned close, grinning. You earned every bit of this. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I nodded, feeling the weight of months of work, healing, and growth lift in a single moment. Liam wasn't here. Natalie wasn't here. Their absence didn't sting, it felt freeing. I realized now that true victory wasn't about their downfall. It was about the life I had reclaimed. Ethan appeared at the side, offering a small nod and a reassuring smile. You've come far, Mia. This is only the beginning. I know, I said softly, meeting his gaze. I feel complete. Finally, I can see my own worth reflected in my accomplishments, not anyone else's actions. The host called my name, and I moved forward to accept the award. As I held the plaque in my hands, the crowd erupted in applause. The sensation was intoxicating, not because of vanity, but because it symbolized the journey I had taken. Every sleepless night, every painful moment of betrayal, every struggle, it all led here. A colleague leaned over, whispering, Everyone's talking about you. Honestly, Mia, you've become the woman everyone envies. I smiled, a quiet warmth spreading through me. Not because of me, but because of what I've learned. Strength, resilience, and self-respect are enviable only when earned. Sophia appeared beside me, giving my hand a supportive squeeze. I've always known you could rise above it all, she said. And you were right, I admitted. I just needed to find that courage within myself. Later, back at my desk, a letter arrived. My name elegantly written across the envelope. I opened it carefully, reading words of admiration from a mentor I had long respected. Your growth and dedication inspire everyone around you. You are a force to be reckoned with, Mia. I placed the letter gently in my drawer, letting the words sink in. Recognition, yes, but validation came from within. I didn't need approval to feel whole anymore. Sitting by the window, I looked out at the city lights. Life had given me challenges, heartbreak, and betrayal. Yet I had emerged stronger, wiser, and more self-assured. I realized that envy wasn't about others resenting you. It was about living authentically, unapologetically, and with integrity. As I smiled to myself, I whispered quietly, I am unstoppable. I am enough. I am the woman I was meant to become. And in that moment, with the applause echoing faintly in my mind, I felt complete. Whole. triumphant.